going on, kinfolk? Welcome back to Real Talk Thursday. It's like we're so somber because the topic today, I mean, obviously this week has been like a really tough week just with media and, you know, with the whole Kobe Bryant thing and all that. So
I would say that I think that the death of Kobe Bryant and his daughter and the other passengers on board the helicopter has just brought up a lot of different feelings and emotions for a lot of different people. You know, there obviously were a lot of people who were diehard sports and basketball fans, people who maybe weren't even necessarily that big into sports, but I've heard a lot of entrepreneurs talk about like his Mamba mentality. I am not a sports person. Obviously, I know who Kobe Bryant is, but I didn't know about any of the details, but just as a human, as a person, it also touched me as well, especially the fact that there were 3 or 4 different family sets aboard that aircraft. So as a mom, you know, that part is heartbreaking. So I think it brings up a lot of different emotions, and we wanted to kind of talk to you guys about some of those things and get your feelings as well. So I think for me, obviously, it's none of us know when something's going to happen. Right. Like, we don't know when it's our day, our time. You know, for those of us who are just regular folks, you know, you think helicopter crash, like, that seems like some Hollywood, you know, something that would happen. But those people travel like that all the time.
And I think that was his thing.
Yeah. Right? I think they said he had that particular helicopter since the 90s, or at least for a while. Not that it was old or in ill repair or anything like that. And I could be.
What did you watch the whole?
Well, when I first saw the reporting of it, of course, then I went and I was trying to see who had like the most details, and they were saying that it was a very foggy morning that Sunday, but that he had a very experienced pilot, a very detail-oriented pilot, and the pilot had been given clearance to fly still in that area. He was still communicating with air traffic control and letting them know, hey, I'm going to be going or trying to ascend through a cloud layer or something of that sort. And I think obviously they're still trying to figure out what exactly happened. So I don't know if it was the weather conditions per se, like him not being able to see, or if there was a mechanical issue, because the neighbor, I think, that saw the incident from their home kind of did say something about it seemed like there was some sputtering, there was some, so maybe it could have been like an engine problem or anything. I know that sometimes planes, like passenger commercial airplanes, they can like hit birds and stuff like that. I don't know if that's the same for helicopters, or if something could have happened, and since the visibility was so low, where maybe it could have been some birds or something that he couldn't see, and then damage was done to the helicopter, and then that happened. So obviously that's speculation. Like, I'm not an aircraft expert or anything like that, but they said, you know, after that it did go down pretty fast and pretty intensely.
Crazy.
The sad thing about it, I think the saddest part about it, outside of the fact that these people lost their lives, was, as you guys know, TMZ is the one who got the first scoop or whatever, and immediately they reported it before the authorities had a chance to notify the families.
Stop it. I did not know that.
So
are you kidding?
Yeah. So I read that the Los Angeles PD, which I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly, I think it was like the police chief, was kind of like scolding TMZ, saying like they were trying to figure out who was all on the aircraft and notify the families, and they just thought that it was like in such poor taste.
Absolutely. I didn't know that. That's disgusting.
Yeah, because luckily, I think what the events of the morning, at least as far as Kobe Bryant and his daughter, they had actually attended church. They had attended mass. I didn't know they were Catholic. So that was new. They had attended mass that morning at like around 7. And then I guess around 9 or so, they were getting on a helicopter with other family members because his daughter, Kobe Bryant's daughter, was a basketball player. And so she was 13, so they had like a basketball league or like a basketball camp. And they were all flying to all these other girls of that age who were waiting to for this camp or whatever. And I think it was called the Mamba School. I don't know. I'm about to make something up. I don't want to say School of Basketball. But so, you know, in LA, which I've never been, so y'all tell me if you know, but you always hear the traffic is really, really bad. So it's hard to get somewhere in a timely manner. So they were, you know, getting on the helicopter like he often did so they could get to these other young girls who were waiting for this basketball camp or whatever. And then obviously they had their unfortunate accident. And like I said, TMZ scooped it. And that was how I think a lot of these, at least Vanessa Bryant, his wife, found out about losing her husband and her child.
I did not realize that.
And I think that is sickening.
It's sick.
It is so
like
disgusting.
How disrespectful, first of all. Just
I
because you want to be the first one
imagine.
to let. And also, I mean, just thinking about it now, it makes sense because I remember when we first heard about it, we were walking out of the movie theater and Travis's brother called him to see if he was okay because he's a huge basketball fan. Like, you know, I feel like basketball fans were like so incredibly deeply affected, even more so than the general public.
Right.
But I was like, whatever. Like, shut up. Like,
I thought
stop.
it was a hoax.
Yeah. And so I Googled it, and the only thing that popped up was TMZ. So I'm thinking it's still a hoax because, like, no one on, I looked on Instagram because you know how it is. Social media blows up. For sure. No one was saying anything about it. So I was like, I still don't believe it. Yeah. And then as, like, time slowly started going by, then suddenly it started, like, more articles popped up. Yeah. More, like, all this stuff just popped up. And then, you know, later in the afternoon, social media started blowing up. But it's like, what? Why?
Yeah.
That's so awful. I didn't realize that. But to find out your husband, I mean, that's the only man that she's ever known.
Yeah, because they had been together for over 20 years or whatnot, and they left behind, or he left behind, obviously his wife, a 17-year-old daughter. Okay. A younger than 1 year old.
Yeah, 7 months.
7 months. I was going to say, I know she wasn't 1 yet. And then another daughter that I want to say was like a toddler age. 2 or 3, yeah. So 2 young little girls and then a 17-year-old. Oh my God. And, for those people who live in the public eye, obviously there are some things that they know that comes with the territory, but there's just some things that are inappropriate and that you just wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. And his wife has been through a lot throughout their lives together publicly. So I just hate for that to be how that scenario ended and for that to be how she found out. I was reading more about the whole TMZ thing because I read a comment that I was like, and someone, like a police chief or someone was saying, any death, especially of a celebrity in Los Angeles County, TMZ is always the first to know. And it almost makes you think, do they have some kind of, I know Hollywood is such a corrupt world anyway, but do they have some kind of inroads with someone? Because they were the ones who scooped Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson. They were naming like all these celebrities that they were the very first to report on before authorities or coroners or anything even confirmed that these people were dead. It's like TMZ somehow were the first ones to know. So, I'm all for good journalism, but some things are just too far.
That's tacky.
That's really tacky. So you guys know I have children. I have 3 children, and my oldest daughter, Kayla, is 13. So when I saw that he had passed of course, I was just like really shocked. And then as more details started coming, and they said, we're kind of saying who was on the plane, and they were saying that his daughter was with him, I was just like sick to my stomach. This was this past Sunday, obviously, from when we're recording this. And my girls, it was their weekend with their dad, so they were at their dad's house. So I just called them, and I didn't say anything about the Kobe Bryant situation, but it's like you just call and you're just like, hey, love you guys, miss you guys. And we were talking, and of course their dad ended up telling them, because he's a huge basketball fan. So the girls, even though, my kids are young, and Kobe Bryant's heyday was like way back in the day, they know exactly who he is from their dad. And then my daughter, speaking of social media, my daughter said, yeah, all of the girls that were waiting for them to come to that basketball camp were just all crying and huddled up and praying. And I said, well, how do you know that? And she said, I saw it on TikTok. So there was, I guess, a video, and I didn't see it, I don't know, but I guess there was a video of the girls who were waiting for them to arrive. And obviously they found out that they passed and that they weren't coming. And so I'm just like, man, social media, it can be such a beautiful thing, but it can be used in ways that are really devastating.
Yeah, it's true.
So you guys, whenever someone passes away, whether it's a celebrity, whether it's someone in your own life, it makes you want to think about unresolved issues with people. Have you ever been in a situation where someone has passed away and you didn't get to tell them something that you wanted? Or have you ever been in a situation where, something could have happened and it made you think like, oh my gosh, I have to like make sure?
Yeah. I know me personally, like oh my gosh, I'm so emotional. Like, honestly, like...
It's okay. I mean,
it's so
here,
weird.
I'm right here.
It's weird because, like, I'm not a huge basketball fan, but I was, like, deeply affected.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know why, it's also weird when it's a celebrity, because... I don't know, like, there's a part of us, I think all of us are probably like this, but you don't feel like they're ever gonna die.
Yeah.
And when they do, it's just so... Like, it's earth-shattering. Like, it's just, it shakes the whole planet, I feel like. And then Kobe Bryant, for some reason, I think because he was such a good guy, and such, after his whole scandal and stuff, I feel like he just really been on the straight and narrow ever since.
He's probably tried really hard to redeem himself in the public eye. Not that anyone needs to do that, because the only person we need to be trying to redeem ourselves with is God. But when you're a celebrity and your mistakes and things like that are put on display, and even nowadays it could even not even be something that you actually did, it could just be something that you were accused of, which we'll never even know in his own case because of the way that it was settled and everything. But it's like now you have to try to prove to people that you are a good person, when he's just human, just like all of us are human. Just like there's stuff that I've done that I wouldn't want y'all to know, and there, he's just human. But he worked really hard to, I think, just rebuild his image as a man and a father.
Absolutely.
So,
and just as a human, I feel like he's done so much giving back. And it just shook the whole world. Like, even now, like, looking on social media is hard because, like, I'm an avoider when it comes to these types of topics. So, like, I don't want to see any more about it because I don't want to feel sad. So, like, seeing it is just, it's so hard to even see these posts about it because it's like, I don't want to feel that. But, so back in 2002 maybe, or 2001, my mom had moved in with my grandparents to take care of my grandmother because, so my grandmother, one time, I had been living on my own already or whatever, my grandmother got sick. And my mom wanted her to go to the hospital, and she refused to go. She didn't want to go to the hospital, and she just didn't want to go. So my mom was just like, I feel like you can get through to her. So I ended up going over there, and I was just like, Grandma, please just go to the hospital. Like, we just want you to get better. And my grandmother was just like, fine, I'll go, but I'll go tomorrow. And we were like, okay. So we just felt better, like, oh, Shanna, thank you for talking to Grandma. Now she's going to go to the hospital. So that night, she actually coded.
Oh, wow.
And so they had to like rush her to the hospital or whatever. She was in the hospital for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it was horrible. And I feel like there's still a little part of me that feels bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because like my grandmother didn't want to live like that.
Yeah.
But then when she got out of the hospital, she came out in hospice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jerrilyn,
it's okay. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. But I remember I was with my boyfriend at the time, and I was like, I just feel like I need to go see my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, well, if you want to do that, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, Jason had been like avoiding the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and this was really, he just like moved in with them for a little bit because he needed a place to stay. I was just like, I don't really want to take away from his time with her.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, like, part of me didn't really want to drive all the way because it was like an hour away.
Mm-hmm.
But there was something in me that was just like, just go.
Yeah.
And I didn't listen. And then she died the next day.
Okay.
So it was like one of those things where like I forever feel like, even though I spent a lot of time with her, I was at the hospital all the time. But like there's a part of me that's like, man, I wish I would have just freaking listened. Now I'm so different now because the Lord speaks to me very clearly. And like my spirit is super sensitive. So if there's any part of me that's like, go, like I'm listening. Like, and sometimes I'll do things even, if I'm not 100% sure, just in case. Like, for example, New Year's. My dad invited us for New Year's, and he doesn't usually do that. Mm-hmm. And you guys know that my dad's been battling cancer or whatever. And I think normally I would have been like, well, I'm supposed to be hanging out with, this guy that I'm talking to, so can we just plan for another time? But I was like, I'm not doing that this time. I ended up just going because you just don't ever know when it's going to be the last time. And I wasn't willing to take that chance.
For sure.
Now, what about you?
It's been a while since I've had anyone in my life pass away that was really close to me. My extended family is not super close. So there have been people that have passed away, but it didn't necessarily affect me like very deeply because maybe we didn't have that close of a relationship. But I focus a lot, and I'm not quite sure why. I think and focus a lot about my parents getting older and what will happen when my parents pass away. So my mom and I are close. I mean, we talk pretty much every day or every other day. And I've asked her about things she would want, and like
you bring it up?
Yeah, like, and I've been doing that, I would say, for some years. It's like you know how people die or people pass away, especially like when it's someone's parents, and then people start fighting.
Yes.
In the family after that person's, they fighting over little silly stuff or money, the little bit of money someone may have left or property or whatever. And I'm very afraid. I don't think that would happen when my parents pass away. I just have an older sister and a younger brother, but I feel like that's like my worst nightmare scenario. That my parents could pass away and then we would be fighting.
And that's the last thing you want to do.
Over stuff that's not even important. My brother and I are pretty close, and I think we're pretty much like on the same page. But I have a sister, and my sister and I are not that close. So we're pretty different in the way that we think about things. So I'm not sure if we could disagree on some things. But and I think you guys, if anyone's kind of been watching for a while since we've been doing Real Talk Thursdays, I'm estranged from my dad for like the last 2 years. And so I think about that a lot. My dad has had a lot of different types of behavior that can tend to push people away. So on the one hand, I don't feel like it's my fault necessarily that we're not on speaking terms right now. But then, of course, I wonder, well, if something happens to him, would I feel like there's something that I should have said, or there's some type of closure that I should be trying to get? Because right now, I could ask him all of the hard questions about why he's done some of the things that he's done. But there will come a day that I won't be able to do that. Will I be okay with that, or will I torture myself trying to figure out why? So that does bother me. I think about it often. With my mom, I feel like she 100% knows. I mean, obviously, if I lost my mom, I would be devastated. I really would. But I would find comfort in knowing that we are about as close as you probably could get. Like, she knows how I feel about her. I know how she feels about me. We've talked about things, even with our relationship and with her dynamic with my dad, that have been difficult to talk about. But she knows that regardless of any choices that she's made, and I know that regardless of anything I've done in life, we just love each other unconditionally. So I feel like there would be peace at the very least if something happened to my mom, because there's nothing that we haven't said to each other. Right. And I've already shared this with Shanna, but in terms of my kids, if anything were to ever happen with my kids, my prayer is just always that I'm with them. Now, obviously, what happened with Kobe Bryant and his daughter and the other families, because I think there was another husband, wife, and daughter.
2 kids.
There was a mom and her daughter.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know there was a...
So there was like 3 little family sets. Kobe and his daughter, the Altobellis, so a husband, a wife, and their daughter.
And they left behind 2 kids.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. They left behind 2 other girls, I think. And then there was another like assistant coach, a mom, and her daughter. And I think they just left behind her husband, I think. But I'm not 100% sure. So if that's the case, then he lost his wife and his only child, which is devastating. And then obviously there was the pilot who has left behind a family as well. So I always pray, if heaven forbid, if anything ever happened to my kids before me, obviously I was here to give birth to them. I was here when they came into the world, and I would want to be by them as they took their last breath. If that was... Don't pass that crying stuff over here, girl. If that was, the Lord's will for them, I would want to just be there. But in the event of zombie apocalypse or meteor strike, or anything of that nature, I have also prayed about those situations and just say, hey, God, just let us all be together. Right. If that's how, you're going to take everybody out. So, it makes you, causes you to be just like very reflective.
Yeah.
And I think you guys know that Shanna and I are Christians. We respect, anyone who has different beliefs, but I think it also causes you to look at yourself and really think about what type of person you want to be.
For sure. And what kind of legacy. Even when I was younger, I've always wanted to leave a legacy. Mm-hmm. Like, whatever that is going to be, but...
For sure.
I feel like what you leave behind, even if it's just the fact that you're a super happy person and, you just loved everybody and made everybody feel so special. Like, just leaving that behind is a big deal.
Because I feel like when... Those are the things that matter. Like, even obviously with Kobe Bryant, he was an athlete, he was a superstar, he was a millionaire. The people who are talking about him and what he's left behind, luckily no one is talking about his money.
Right.
No one's talking about, how much is he going to leave his wife or anything. Right. Not that I've seen, which if that's the case, that's tacky too. Yeah. But everyone is just talking about how, again, like I said, like the Mamba mentality, like how he affected their personal life, even if it's outside of just the realm of sports, or how much he gave to kids and how much he, tried to invest in people's lives. And that's what really makes the biggest difference. I definitely want the biggest part of my legacy to be that I was unafraid to talk to people about Christ, and that I raised my kids to know Christ, and they carry on the same thing where they're not afraid to talk to people about Christ. So yeah, it's like, I don't know. It just makes you want to be the best person you can be. And it makes a lot of other things just very trivial. Absolutely. In comparison.
Being a social media influencer is hard because you care about what people think. Like, that's, who cares? Yeah. You know what I mean? Who cares? Like, nothing matters other than your relationship with the Lord, you being the best person that you can be. Yeah. And, your purpose, like just living a life of purpose.
Yeah. And just, sticking to your convictions and, you don't know how you can touch or influence people. And a lot of times we think, especially because of the way the world is, so it's like, okay, what's your purpose? And we try to think about what our purpose is, and it feels like it's supposed to be some big thing or some big old, like, I gotta own a company, or whatever. But be mindful of how you talk to that person you don't know on the elevator.
Absolutely.
Be mindful of how you treat the people who are serving you your food. Try to smile and speak to everyone, and like, just be a good person that, and obviously we're not perfect, but you don't want to be that person that leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. Like, someone that I know used to say, don't make people happy twice. Happy to see you come and happy to see you go.
Right.
Like, you want people to know, like, man, this person is like so positive and they're so easy to be around. Because really, you guys, there's so many talented people in the world and things of that nature. What really can set you apart, if you're trying to figure out, how God's favor is working in your life. Sometimes people want to be associated with you or work with you just because you're a good person.
Right.
Just because you're a nice person. They might be able to find other people more talented than you to work with or to do whatever. But sometimes it's just like, they don't want to deal with the drama that the other person may bring along, but they know what, you're capable, but you're such a good person to be around and work with. God's favor works that way too. Because I do a whole bunch of things in a strongly mediocre way. And the Lord, I have a lot of things that I do great, but hear me, like, I'm dead serious. I have some things that I'm like, dang, man, I'm killing it with like a 6.5 out of 10. But the Lord has used me in a bigger way, just because one of the things that I'm a 10 out of 10 at is making connections with people. Like, and I'm such a huge people person. Yeah, it's like, that other percentage will come. But as long as he keeps using me, I'll be all right with that.
So how old are your parents?
My parents are relatively young. My mom is, it's 2020. So my mom will be 63 this year. Okay. And so my dad is getting ready to be 61.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I know your dad is in his 80s.
He's in his 80s. He'll be 83 this year. So not till September. So he's 82. And then my mom is, I always forget how old my mom is, because I feel like she's so young. But she's getting up there. She's like 64. Okay. Maybe. So, yeah.
So your dad had him a tenderoni.
My daddy is a Rolling Stone, okay? And even now, Signe, his, which, they're not married, but he calls her his wife. They call each other, husband, wife. She's maybe early 70s. Okay. Or late 60s. I don't remember. She looks so good. I mean, they both look so good for their age. Yeah. It's like, you would never guess that they're as old as they are, but yeah.
I love that. That's cute. Yeah. I wish the best for your dad and everything that he's going through. Wish the best for you guys. If you guys have had an experience with death that has caused you to think about things differently or change your perspective, let us know. Like, share your stories. Shanna and I, as you guys know, as I already said earlier, we're both Christians. So if you are not a Christian but you want to know more about it, or you're really thinking that it's something that you want to really give some serious thought to, you guys know Shanna's Instagram handle.
Yes, at SMarie1127.
And mine's is at JD
Mom _
Mom of 3.
I'll put the links. That's hilarious.
I always forget.
I got you back there. I'll put both of our handles in the description box, so you can, feel free to reach out. I always try to respond to as many messages as I possibly can, as many DMs. So, and also you can email us, and I can always forward it to Jerrilyn at AskShannaMarieB ShannaMarieB@gmail.com. But those are our Instagram handles. And like I said, I'm sure you'll probably respond to
y'all ain't
yours
nobody
as well,
DMing me because I'm not a social media influencer. So if you send me a message, if you send me a message, I will see it and I will definitely respond. How receptive are you guys to me dipping and dabbling and dipping my toe into social media influencing? You guys think about it because we might be, trying to, I don't know, work something out.
Yes.
Where I will bring you guys into my life with my family. You'll get to meet my kids. And
are you really thinking about it?
Yeah. Because they've been wanting to do it.
Yes.
I have not really been wanting to do it. But I feel like Real Talk Thursday has, made me think that it could be something that I want to do. And, sometimes it's hard because it's like, it seems like everybody now is a social media influencer. So it's like, if you're not a social media influencer, what are you doing with your life? And I always tend to be one of those people that's like, I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. And, it's like I have in our friend circle, it's like there's people who are doing it and doing it really well. So I've been like, I don't want to be that person to jump on the bandwagon. But what made me kind of change my mind with the Real Talk Thursday is the people who have reached out and said like something that we said has been helpful to them. People have private messaged me. People that I know have messaged me, especially after we did the videos about our divorce stories.
Oh, yeah.
Especially after we did the one about, I want to say like either the red flags or the narcissism. And we kind of talked about relationships we have been in. I had people message me. So that's what I'm most interested in. When you think about like, okay, when you're a Christian, everything has to go back to the glory of God. So I've been through so many things and I don't necessarily want to keep those things to myself because I want to show someone else who's in my same position or who has been where I've been, how God has worked through my life so that He can get the glory, because I don't want all of those things to just be, to not have a purpose.
Yeah, and there's something about watching someone who's gone through the same thing. Obviously, you don't wish anyone to go through the same thing that you've gone through, but to know that you're not alone, there's just so much comfort in that.
Yeah.
And I think you should.
So you guys tell me, but would the kinfolk also piggyback and come and support me too? Just let me know if you would. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to hear that.
I might have me some 10 followers, some 10 people gonna
you'll
rock it.
Yeah, listen, there are a lot of families out. I don't like to watch a lot of families. YouTube is such a great platform.
Yeah.
But it's like, even now in YouTube, there's so much staging happening, and I hate that. I think that's why my favorite YouTube families, of course, Gabriel and Chad, and not just because they're my friends, but like they're truly just genuine people, and like what you see is like
really
who they are. Yeah. Like it's just beautiful. Like they're such, like I look up to them. Yeah. And like they are role models for me, and that's what I want my relationship with whoever I end up with to look like. Like they're just truly a beautiful couple. And then Cole and Sav, the LeBrant family.
I don't know who any of these
they're
people
like
are, so.
Christians, and I mean they have got like millions of followers, but they're just so sweet, and they're just cute. And obviously I don't know them, so I don't know what their real life looks like, and they stage some things, but their videos are more like for kids, more geared towards like the younger crowd. But like they're just such a cute couple, and they love the Lord, and they're so passionate about God, and like that is attractive to me. Yeah. So like people just need more. I feel like there needs to be more wholesome families, Christian families, and not even just Christian, but like genuine people who truly, genuinely love the Lord on YouTube. Like the more, the better. Yeah. So bring it on.
And if we do it, it's not going to be staged. It's going to probably just be like our hot mess, real life. My kids are hilarious.
They are funny, and
they are hilarious, and they're just the best. So we might do it.
So stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned. But thank you guys for tuning in to this one. I'm glad we ended on a happy note.
Yes, me too.
Because it was such a heavy topic. But yes, don't let the day end without either reaching out to someone and letting them know how you feel, without dedicating your life to the Lord, if that is really weighing heavily on your heart. And we will be with you guys to walk through that journey.
Definitely. So, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to send us messages if you have something that you want to share or just have any questions or whatever. Or email us at AskShannaMarieB@gmail.com. And we'll see you in the next Real Talk Thursday. Bye.
Bye.